23 absolutely unbeatable Formula 1 records. Yes, Lando won in Miami, but Max and Red Bull have been dominant for so long that they've broken the spirit of this non-Red Bull fan, and Newey hasn't yet had time to leave and build a challenger to the Red Bull dominator that he built. So I was thinking about records Max even seemed unable or unlikely to beat. So here's some of the more interesting, absolutely unbeatable Formula 1 records that I found. And guess what? Max holds some of them. 23. Most podiums without a win. It's not Lando, baby. If Lando had managed to be passed by Supermax in Miami and finished second, he would have had 16 podiums and 0 wins. But he wasn't. And our papaya-powered young Brit pulled it out the bag and has started a new era of McLaren dominance. Oh wait, sorry. I'm dreaming. But okay, it's been a while since my team won. Give me this. The most podiums without a win, though, is a record held by another of my favorite drivers, the very talented and even more unlucky Nick Heidfeld. 13 podiums, 0 wins. Bet you Alkenberg would take that though.
Here's get back.
22. The shortest gap between the start of a career and receiving the first penalty. 6 seconds. No, it's not Romain Grosjean and it's not Nikita Mazepin. It's 4 times World Drivers' Champion Sebastian Vettel. Not a record the German would be too proud of, but it may be the one that stands the longest of all the ones he broke. When on debut in Turkey in 2006, he moved out the garage in first practice and somehow immediately managed to exceed the pit lane speed limit a full 6 seconds into his Formula 1 career. Now a more sought after record. 21. 100% podium finishes in a season. Michael Schumacher, 2002. Schumi and Ferrari were Red Bull before the cows were even in Formula 1, and 2002 was possibly the pinnacle of that dominance. Mike won 11, came second 5 times and third once, for 17 podiums in 17 races. No one has done that before or since. I told you the German Regenmeister was the GOAT, but did you listen? No. 20. The largest margin of victory in a single race. 5 minutes. 5 minutes. That's 4 laps on an average modern circuit. Who did this? None other than probably the best driver to never win the title, Sir Stirling Moss. Portugal 1958. He won from 1955 Drivers' Champion Mike Hawthorne's Ferrari by a whopping 5 minutes and 12 seconds over a 50-lap race. Look, Perez may not be in Verstappen's class, and Red Bull may be rather quick when McLaren and Ferrari don't get their crap together. But not even Senna or Schumi or Hamilton at their most dominant came close to such a victory margin. And honestly, I'm grateful. What an absolutely rubbish race would it be if the cars were 4 laps apart. 19. The longest Formula 1 race, Canada 2011. Yeah, some of the races dominated by Mercedes in 2016 or Red Bull in 2023 felt like they were a year long. But the actual longest race was in Canada 2011. Jenson Button won it for McLaren, and the race must also have felt forever for the Brit. Not only did he collide with teammate Hamilton, suffer a puncture, get a penalty, and had to make 4 pit stops, but he also surged through the field and overtook Seb on the final lap to win the race 4 hours and 4 minutes after it started, also becoming the driver with the most pit stops to win a race. That was 6. Why was the race so long? Rain, and more rain. There was a 2-hour red flag situation because of rain. And after Belgium in 2021, the rules were changed so that a race had a maximum length of 3 hours after lap 1. So this record may stand a few decades yet. 18. The youngest Formula 1 driver to start a race and the youngest driver to score points. In the Verstappen household, Max got an extraordinary amount of the talent. More so than Daddy Jos the boss. In a career that actually included Formula 1 and being Michael Schumacher's teammate, Jos scored 17 points. Max scores more than that with every race won.
Is that fuel splashing? Horrific.
Greatest fear of everyone up and down the pit lane, the mechanic. His overalls in flames, ran into the garage, then thought better of it, came back out.
The fire was put out remarkably quickly.
Incredibly quickly put out.
3 seconds, I think, the duration of the fireball, caused by a quarter.
Aged 17 years and 3 days, the King of Orange made his Formula 1 debut at the 2014 Japanese Grand Prix. At 17 years and 180 days, he scored his first points. Impressive and now impossible to emulate. Now you cannot gain a super license without being 18 years old and have a normal license, which kind of makes sense and makes me realize that Max scored points in a Formula 1 race without legally being allowed to drive a normal car on the road. Crazy. 17. Youngest race winner. Guess who? Here's a clue. It's not Lando. It's not Hulkenberg. Yes, it's Super Max. Aged 18 years, 7 months and 5 days, he won the Spanish Grand Prix in 2016 after Lewis and Rosberg were nice enough to take each other out. Again, the record is unlikely to fall because the age limits in the sport. Now a record nobody wants to hold. Number 16, most consecutive retirements in a row. Yes, Formula 1 cars used to break. A lot. Turbos exploded, cars broke down, and sometimes they ran out of fuel. Remember that Jean Alesi, Australia 97, after your team called you in to refuel like 5 times?
With the driver. Unfortunately, Jean was so concentrated in catching the guy in the front, forgot to look in the pit wall.
But with Alesi due for a refueling stop, serious problem surfaces.
Jean was not paying attention to what was happening in the race around him.
The pit crew wait, but there's no sign of a...
Alesi knows. And there we are. There is the... Now, if Alesi has run out of petrol, and you can see by the body language of the Benetton mechanics that they are absolutely furious.
But back to this list. So who retired the most times in a row? Andrea De Cesaris. 22 technical retirements in a row. That's more than a season without finishing a race. And get this, he scored a podium while not actually finishing the race. His car ran out of fuel in the closing meters of the race, but he kept his position as the cars behind him didn't finish on the same lap as him. So he was classified third.
And really, that was De Cesaris doing his usual performance, taking no notice of the leaders. Look at this idiot.
15. Oldest Formula 1 driver to start a race. Now Lewis and Alonso are getting on a bit. But the oldest driver to start a race was Louis Chiron, who was 55 years, 9 months and 19 days old, the 1955 Monaco GP. The oldest winner of a race, Luigi Fagioli, won the 1951 French Grand Prix, aged 53 years and 22 days. Alonso may have to retire again and rest, and come back to beat that record. Maybe Kimi wants to go, or could somebody get Nigel Mansell back in a car? 14. Fewest number of finishes to a race. Monaco 96. I remember this race. This race broke my brain as a school kid in front of the TV. 7 cars broke down. 12 drivers retired due to incidents, and a massive 3 drivers finished the race. Olivier Panis won for Ligier, his only Formula 1 victory in 157 starts. 13th. Fewest cars to start a race. 2005 United States Grand Prix. Chaos. Michelin withdrew because their tires were blowing out in the heat, so it was unsafe to race. So only the Bridgestone teams could compete. So Ferrari, Jordan and Minardi were left on the grid. The race was between 6 cars. The fans were mightily peed off, sitting in the heat, watching these 6 cars. And if you cared, Schumi won for Ferrari. 12. Highest percentage of podium finishes. That is of course from at least 15 race starts. 3rd. Lewis Hamilton. He's finished on the podium 58.4% of his races started. From a career of over 300 races. that is a mighty impressive one. Second, Giuseppe Farina. 60.6% of races started. He only started 30, but he did win a title, so. And number 1, of course, Juan Manuel Fangio. 5 world titles, and he finished on the podium in 68.6% of the races he started. 11th, other side of the coin, most races without a podium. You knew this was coming. Yes, it's Hulk. Yes, he can hopefully break his duck, but for now it stands at 211 races, and he's never finished higher than 4th. Hopefully, well, I don't see it happening at Haas, but hopefully the Audi can give the man what he deserves. 10. Most pit stops by a winning driver. Yes, we said this earlier, but take a look at this. Jenson Button made 6 stops and still won the Canadian Grand Prix in 2011. How remarkable is that? The Max Verstappen fanboys cannot give Norris his dues after he won in Miami. They claim it's because he pretty much got a free pit stop because of safety cars.
If my mom had balls, she would be my dad, so yeah.
So how did Button then win with 6 stops and 2 collisions? Well, he got 6 safety cars, which is also a record. That pretty much explains how he didn't lose the time for his temporary pit stop addiction. Number 9, most wins in a single season. And yes, it's Verstappen. First and second. He won 15 times in 2022. And then he won 19 times in 2023. Absolutely incredible. I have no words. If you're not a Red Bull fan, you too probably feel my pain about this record. 8th, most wins without claiming a world championship. Yeah, it's a rubbish. It's a terrible record to have. That's being the most successful, unsuccessful driver. And the prize goes to 2 Brits. Second place, David Coulthard, 13 wins without a title. And top spot, Sir Sterling Moss, 16 wins, no titles. 7, most wins in a first competitive championship season. Interesting one. Third, Juan Manuel Fangio won 3 races in his first season. And joined first, Lewis Hamilton in 2007 and Jacques Villeneuve in 1996. Both of them won 4 races. Villeneuve, of course, as an IndyCar champion, but Hamilton as a proper rookie. Number 6, the largest gap between 2 world titles. So who was rubbish then for the longest time between winning 2 world drivers' titles? And now I've looked at the list, and I feel like an idiot, because all 4 of these drivers are legends, and I deserve to have the spit slapped out of my mouth for using the word rubbish in describing them. Joined second, Jack Brabham, Graham Hill and Lewis Hamilton, who had 5 years between winning titles. And the longest gap between winning 2 world drivers' titles is Niki Lauda, 6 years between 1977 and 1984. 5, Formula 1 win from furthest back on the grid. In my opinion, the coolest record. Cutting through the grid is the mark of a true champion. Things happen, and somewhere in a career a top driver will have to scythe through the field to prove his worth. So who won from the furthest back? What legend was it? What multiple world champion was it? None. It was John Watson. Yeah, and most people don't know who he is, but he was a pretty decent driver in the 80s. He drove for McLaren, and in the 83 US Grand Prix, he won a race starting from 22nd. Did he beat rubbish people? No. His teammate Niki Lauda finished second, so it was a hell of an achievement, even if Watson never won the championship. 4th, smallest winning margin. Peter Gethin in a BRM won the 1971 Italian Grand Prix ahead of Ronnie Peterson's March by 0.01 seconds. A close second, ironically, is the 0.011 seconds by which Rubens Barrichello beat Michael Schumacher at the 2002 US Grand Prix. 3, most races with a single engine manufacturer. Ah yes, loyalty, not something too often found in professional sport, but yes. 3rd, Michael Schumacher drove 179 starts for Ferrari. Kimi Räikkönen made 209 starts for Ferrari. And the main man, who ironically is going to Ferrari next season, Lewis Hamilton has only ever driven a Mercedes engine. more than 300 races. Second on the list, closest qualifying result. I remember this quali session. It almost gave me a bloody heart attack. I was cheering on Schumi, but those flippin' Williams designed by Adrian Newey were of course too good. Michael Schumacher, Jacques Villeneuve and Heinz-Harald Frentzen all lined up with the same pole position time at the 97 European Grand Prix, which was the title decider between Schumi and Villeneuve, where Michael tried to take out Jacques Villeneuve and failed spectacularly. All three drivers set exactly the same time in quali, but Villeneuve was awarded pole because he set his time first and then Schumi and Frentzen. Amazing. And then, number one on our list, oldest world champion. You knew this was coming. Juan Manuel Fangio. The man had to be top of the list. One of the all-time greatest of the sport. One of the GOATs, probably the GOAT. Fangio entered Formula 1 age 38 and he won 5 World Drivers titles. He was 46 by the time he became world champion for the 5th time. Come on, Alonso. This has your name on it. You're almost there, buddy, and I think actually you have got the ability. And I'm talking like you're actually watching this video. Now that is faith. Because I would love it if Fernando Alonso watched this video. But either way, I digress. Joking aside, that is our list. If you enjoyed it, consider subbing. Please, we need it. Small channels like ours need the subs to grow, to get more views, to become big channels. Share the video if you enjoyed it. Please have a look at our channel. We've got new content out every week. Thank you for watching. God bless you. Goodbye.